What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. And on today's video, well, I really don't have to tell you what today's video is about because as you can see, I've already got the props set up. But as telling you what this video is about is part of my process, I am still going to tell you that today is my first impressions of the Reebok Floatride Energy X. And as we've all been conditioned to understand, when you add an X to any product name, it automatically makes it 30% better than the same product would be without that X. And I've been pretty excited for this one. Over the last couple months, we've been getting teasers that Reebok is going to be dropping a half marathon racing shoe, a long distance racing shoe. I am a fan of Reebok shoes. I think they are highly underrated, but perhaps not as much as they were a couple of years ago. More and more people are coming to find out that Reebok makes some really quality running shoes. And of course, that was one of the main reasons that I was really excited to get my hands on this carbon plated racing shoe. Now, of course, this is my initial impressions video. As of the time of me filming this video, I have taken this shoe out for one run. So no doubt my opinions are going to change. They're going to evolve over the next 100 miles. And once I put at least 100 miles in this shoe, I'll be bringing you my full review. But I gotta tell you, the one run that I did in this shoe really put it to its test because I knocked out a 10-mile tempo run. And on this test run, I warmed up for 1 mile, I did 10 miles at tempo pace, and then I cooled down for just half a mile. So I think it's a pretty legit run to give you my first impressions of this shoe because I got to run fast in it for a long period of time. Now in a month or so, when I finally get enough miles in to give you my full review, I would have run slow in it quite a lot. So I'll be able to tell you how it transitions from slow speeds to fast speeds. But for now, I pretty much use this shoe just as it was intended, for speed. But first off, let's talk about price because as we all know, the running shoe industry is slowly conditioning us to pay more and more for running shoes, especially when you add in a carbon fiber plate. So the Reebok Floatride Energy X retails for $170 here in the US. In the UK, it's £130. And get this, I'm used to seeing prices in the UK being ridiculously high. Like when you factor in the exchange rate, shoes in the UK are generally a lot more expensive than they are in the US. But before pressing record on this video, I actually did a quick Google search just to see what the exchange rate was today. And I was pretty impressed. $170 in the UK. Today actually equates to £129.65 in the UK. But here's the thing, and I think I should approach this right now as we're talking about price. I don't think any one of you watching this video has ever paid full price for a pair of Reebok running shoes. It seems like they are always on sale. They're maybe not listed on sale on the website, but they are always offering coupons. There's always some kind of discount out there. So you are never paying full price for Reebok. So when you are considering getting the Floatride Energy X or something else, like maybe the Puma DV8 Nitro, maybe the Saucony Endorphin Speed or the Saucony Endorphin Pro, just remember the retail price of £130 or $170 isn't what you're going to pay. Keep that in mind as we move forward. Now when it comes to racing shoes, we have also become conditioned to want the lightest possible racing shoes that we can get. And the Floatride Energy X is not exceptionally light. It's not heavy, but it's certainly not as light as some of the competitors. Now it's not obscenely heavy, it's just a little bit heavier. And Reebok lists the weight of the Floatride Energy X at 9.1 ounces or 258 grams. Now on their website, they don't say what size they are referring to when they give this weight. It's usually a US men's size 8 or men's size 9, but as you know by now, I don't wear the sample size. I have to size up. So in my US men's size 12, the Floatride Energy X weighs in at 10.7 ounces or 302 grams. And I've got to tell you, I'm not put off for that weight. They feel light in my hand, they feel really light on my foot. But while we're talking about sizes and weight, I do have to tell you that for me, Reeboks do not fit true to size. So I just said that my US men's size 12 weighs in at 10.7 ounces, but most of my other shoes, Nike, Asics, Saucony, Puma, Brooks, I wear a size 13 in all those shoes. So just keep that in mind. For me, the Reebok do not fit true to size. I have to go down a full size. Now, if you look across the internet, you're going to find a bunch of different people saying different things. Some people have to go down half a size. Some people don't have to reduce the size at all, but I drop a whole size. Just keep that in mind. Also, Reebok is only offering these in 4 sizes if you're a man. Now, these are marketed as unisex shoes, so there's nothing different between the men's version and the women's version. They are exactly the same. However, the men's version is only available in full sizes. The women's version is only available in half sizes. You heard that right. So if you are a woman watching this video and you have a standard shoe size of women's US size 8, you are going to have to get the men's size 7, which will be women's size 8.5, or the men's size 6, which will be US women's 7.5. And in case you have a short memory and you forgot what I just said about having to size down, you're probably going to want to go with the smaller of those 2 sizes. The Reebok Floatride Energy X has a 6mm drop, which I think as far as marathon racing shoes is probably the sweet spot. However, on Reebok's website, they aren't giving us the stack heights, so we don't know what the heel is, what the forefoot is. But the observant of you out there have noticed that I have I don't know what this is called, a soft tape measure, a tailor's tape measure. I have this handy. So what we are going to do is probably the least scientific way of measuring the stack height in a shoe. And I'm going to hold this tape measure up to the outsole, and I'm going to give you my best guess. Looks like I have a maximum of 30mm in the forefoot, and at the thickest point, I have about 42 millimeters in the heel. Now that doesn't mean that it's 30 and 42. The midsole always comes up quite a bit higher than the stack height is on the inside. So if I just add another layer to my lack of scientific measurement by putting my finger on the inside and then kind of feeling how deep down it goes, I would say that feels like it's about 6 millimeters difference. So I think this level of the outsole comes up about 6 millimeters more than I can feel on the inside. So using this in-depth measurement method, I am going to say that the Reebok Floatride Energy X has a stack height of 36 in the heel and 30 in the forefoot. Now perhaps after I run the next 100 miles in these shoes, Reebok will release an official stack height. Or perhaps I will spend a few dollars and get one of those calipers that I can just measure it accurately. But either way, stay tuned to the channel, subscribe if you're not already, because if nothing else, I think you're going to want to come back and see what the stack height actually is of this shoe. But for right now, I'm saying 36 and 30. Okay, let's start at the top. We're going to work our way down. And just from looking at this right here, you can see that the immediate heel collar is very thin, very similar to other racing shoes, right? This is nothing out of the ordinary. Extremely thin, and the padding starts just a little way down. And there is not a lot of padding around this heel collar, but there is more than enough to get the job done. So as you already know, I went out and I ran a pretty hard effort for 10 miles. I didn't experience any heel slip, and my foot went in and felt comfortable for the entire time. And if I hold this up, you can see the blue lining comes out just, I don't know, 5 millimeters or so. It's enough padding to just hold that heel in place. The tongue is extremely thin, as we would expect on a racing shoe, but if you look down the middle, you can see that Reebok is written right down here. There's kind of like a little sausage of padding. It's a very thin sausage, but it's somewhat sausage shaped and it's right in the middle. It doesn't spread out all the way around. But I found that that was enough padding to stop the laces from biting into the top of my foot. Now, I don't know about you, but I've had several shoes over the last couple of years where I get pressure on the top of my foot, where those laces kind of cut in and create a hot spot. I've got to tell you, there is not much more annoying than that. Don't really know why I'm telling you that, only to tell you that these shoes, I didn't have that. The laces are a nice and thin linguine shape. The eyelet chain has some overlays just to give it a little more structure. Oh, by the way, Reebok is using at least 30% recycled or repurposed materials in this shoe. And Reebok has very cleverly used recycled with 2 E's. If that's a little too nuanced for you to get, ask in the comments. And I'm sure someone will tell you. To have 30% is pretty impressive. But if you don't care about the environment, probably means nothing to you. The upper is made of a woven textile material, and Reebok has trademarked the name Flex Weave. So this is a Flex Weave woven textile upper. And it's quite stiff. I don't know if you can see me manipulating, but kind of reminds me of a very loose canvas material. It's not entirely comfortable to feel with your fingers, but really that doesn't matter because none of this material actually touches your foot, and I think it looks very sharp, especially with this overlay of the Reebok logo. But even though I call this an overlay, it's not an overlay, it's just a bit of color on this Flex Weave fabric. I did run that 10-mile tempo out and back, so I wasn't really going around corners. So for right now, I can't really speak about the stability other than I found this shoe very stable when running in a straight line. But that's not saying much because most shoes are. Coming down to the outsole, Reebok is using a TPE foam. TPE, as you know, stands for thermoplastic elastomer, which is nothing more than a copolymer, meaning 2 polymers, one of which is soft, one of which is hard, and when you combine them, it lets the foam take the best benefits out of each polymer, and it results in a very lightweight and resilient foam. I really like this foam. This foam has a far firmer ride than the Next Percent 2, but it is quite a bit softer than the Endo Speed or the Endo Pro. Now, Reebok has included a carbon fiber plate, but here's the thing. It is a 4-foot carbon fiber plate. And they even stamped into this yellow outsole rubber carbon fiber plate in case there was any doubt. So the carbon fiber plate is kind of this shape where the yellow is, and it feels good. It feels good at speed. I have to say that on my first and only run in this shoe, remember, this is a first impression video, but I can't say that there was a pronounced push off. You know how some carbon plated shoes really just move you forward? Can't say that I noticed it was that pronounced. However, this shoe was a treat to run in. It was very comfortable. It was light on my feet. I do really like how Reebok has included quite a bit of outsole rubber, which could mean that this shoe could be used as more of a daily trainer. Maybe not a daily trainer, but something that you don't just use for fast days. Now, I've got to tell you, this is a carbon plated racer. I would not be taking this out for a long, slow run, but let's say you wanted to warm up for several miles, and then you wanted to pick it up for a few, and then maybe pull back and then pick it up for a few. I think this would be a solid option. Overall, I think Reebok has done phenomenally well with their first plated racing shoe. I am going to squeeze in a lot of workouts into this shoe before I report back during my full review. So if you like Reebok, if you are looking to get a carbon plated racing shoe for an absolutely phenomenal price, I think this is something worth looking at. And just to be clear, I think paying $170 or £130 for this shoe is a great price. But as I also said, no one's going to be paying that price. Look around, get a coupon, give Reebok your email, and they immediately give you 15% off. It really is a solid option. All right, guys, let me know your questions. I'm sure there are a lot of questions on this shoe. I am happy to answer all of them. Give this video a thumbs up if you got any value. Subscribe if you are not already. And be kind, be happy, run well. I'll see you in a couple of days.